To our Midweek Connection. We're out here at the Brouillettes, and they are the place that have the sheep, and we are going to be videoing here for a couple of sessions, just so you know. We, as I shared with you in the last video that we did for our Midweek Connection, is we're talking about exploring the 23rd Psalm. And as you know, the 23rd Psalm is one of the most beloved of all of the Psalms, and maybe one of the most memorized. It's one of the Psalms that's used a lot at funerals and at weddings, and people know this Psalm, and many, like I said, have memorized it. It's a Psalm of great comfort, and yet it is also a Psalm of great assurance. As I said last week, we're living in a time where there's a lot of stress, and I think that people could use a good dose of comfort and assurance. I want to tell you a little story today that comes out of my background. Years ago, I read this. In it, a story about a great orator. Back in the 1800s, early 1900s, oratory was a really big thing. People would go and they would perform great works of theater and of poetry and just these great readings. And this orator had been at this particular performance that he had done, and everybody loved him, and so they were having a party after his presentation, and in that presentation, or after that presentation, there was a older pastor who had been invited to come and be a part of that party. So the party was going along, and somebody in the crowd said, "Hey, it would be wonderful if you would recite for us the 23rd Psalm. Would you be willing to do that?" And the orator said, "Well, sure, I'd be honored to do that." And so in his great eloquence and all, and his practiced voice, he began to share the 23rd Psalm. And he did it magnificently, just like he would do in any kind of performance that he would make. And when he finished with that great piece of oratory, the people who were there at the after party began to applaud and cheer wildly at what he had done. It was just a beautiful performance. Well, then somebody said to the old preacher who was there, they said, "Sir, would you mind doing a presentation as well?" And he said, "Well, I'm not an orator, but I would be pleased to do that if you would so choose." And they said, "Well, please do." And so he got up and he began to quote the 23rd Psalm from his memory and his experience. And he emphasized the personal pronouns. "The Lord is my shepherd. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." And he shared this beautiful psalm from his heart. And when he concluded, there was no applause. The room was silent. And many folks were dabbing tears from their cheeks. Well, there was a young man who was there who had taken this all in, and he was standing by the orator, and he said, "Man, what just happened?" He said, "You presented it, and they applauded wildly, but when he did it, the old preacher did it, everybody was quiet, and they cried. What was the difference of what happened here?" And the orator said, "Well, son, that's very simple." He said, "I know the 23rd Psalm, but the old preacher knows the shepherd." And I love that story because there's the difference. You know, you can know the 23rd Psalm, but it's yet another thing to know the shepherd. And that's what we want. We want to know this good shepherd. And we find that good shepherd in this beautiful 23rd Psalm. So what I hope you will do is hope over the next few weeks as we continue to explore the 23rd Psalm that you'll just look at that maybe in a little different light now. I don't want to just memorize it. I want to know the shepherd. Well, hope that speaks to your heart and life today. God bless. Happy trails. Stay narrow until we meet again.